The Epstein files and the alleged cover-up surrounding it is getting deeper and deeper by the day. And one of the newest things that I've just uncovered is an apparent escape plan by Jeffrey Epstein himself while he was in jail. And knowing that allegedly there was some kind of plan for him to actually escape the prison, it does make you think.
Epstein had a plan.
Hey, maybe it didn't go down the way that they say. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. All right.
Track Files be back, big head beast. Another episode, just speaking facts. We had Track Lord Ross got another one. He be having them exclusive Jones. I like and go subscribe to him. Talking about Epstein's prison escape plans is leaked. He had a prison escape plan and he died in prison. Don't sound right to me. Y'all make sure y'all do what I need y'all to do. Subscribe. It's easy. Come on, man. Let's get back to it.
I've got a bunch of links that I'm going to break down in this video. I'm going to tell you all about the alleged story, okay, that apparently Epstein's jail cell, there was some plans. There were some plans of action in there, okay, that haven't really been talked about. So the first thing I want to show you, okay, is from the YouTuber Dr. G Explains, and he recently did a
That looked like a kid map. That looked like a treasure map. Like, that looked like the back of the cereal box. He was in there. That's how he was planning.
Dive into Epstein's personal jail cell, not physically, but, you know, metaphorically speaking, with his research, and he would uncover what appeared to be a bona fide escape plan. Yep. We're trying to escape. It's insane.
My eye first, where it says red notice, and I put equals EXT. An IQ of 85.
That thing was trying to get out of there. They're going to throw the commercial up.
If you don't know what a red notice is, that's an alert that Interpol puts out if there is a fugitive on the loose. If there's someone that is internationally wanted, a red notice notifies agencies that if this person is found, then you extradite them back to the country where they are being looked for. So that's why it says red notice equals EXT. So if there's a red notice out for him, then he will be set up for extradition. That was my first clue that if we're looking at all of this in context, that he was planning on getting out of the country. That was his goal by writing all of this down. Now, from the red notice, there is an arrow pointing back up to the...
Out the country? How you get in the country? That's my question. If he live on the island, and he a peddler, or he or whoever on the island, how you keep getting into America and all that? Man, come on, man. How are you making that happen?
This main circle right here. So that means that if he's MIA in the U.S., in other words, if he's missing, so this would be shorthand basically saying he's missing. For anybody that's watching this that isn't from the U.S., I'm going to try my best to explain various acronyms the way that we would do them here. So MIA would be a way to say that he's missing. So if he's MIA in the U.S., then a red notice would occur. Then a red notice would be set out by Interpol.
He could be talking about Miami. There's MIA U.S., could be trying to get to Miami to get out of the country, maybe, but he's saying MIA, there will be an Interpol red notice if he is missing in action from the prison. No shit. Okay, well, the only way that you could be missing in action without anybody worrying about it and putting out a red notice is if you weren't alive.
That's what that arrow means. But if we're to look at this circle, right, MIA US, let's look at some of the various branches of this. So visas would suggest that he's going to be planning on going out of the country. He would need to fake his name. It would have to be fake visas, but he would need visas. Something I guess he was considering is that he wrote no rights. So it could be, depending on the country he goes to, his rights might be different. Interestingly, he wrote tourism here. Now, if he was planning on leaving the country, whether or not he would be posing as a tourist or whether or not he would be going to places that have tourism, there's some consideration about tourism because I'm pretty certain that's what that says. It either says tourism or tourist. His handwriting is so bad. You'll see in a second where the confusion is there. Now up here it says EXT tax. It could be EST tax, but I think that what this is estate tax. So in other words, if he is to die, how much money goes to estate tax, or that he's considering the estate tax right here. Another branch has banks. So
you got the estate tax at the top of the tree. No matter what happened, that money on his mind, we gotta know what we're doing with the money if I go away. I wonder what his people heirs, if he doesn't have any heirs. Why ain't nobody run up on his kids? Yeah, his son, his daughter, nobody. Like, we got kids.
Obviously something that he's going to have to consider if he's going to have access to money. Now, here's one that I am somewhat less confident in, is that there's a name written here with dollar signs next to it. I put a question mark because I don't know what letter that is, but it does look like BLCH, like NIL or something like that, but this is very clearly a name and clearly associated with money. And below that, you can see it says guards. It says guards clear as day. That is 100% what this says. So whether or not that means that he needs guards, whether or not it has to do with prison guards, that's unclear, but that is very clearly stating guards right underneath this name and the dollar signs.
So look, there's a lot of different things that went into consideration. The fact that they're saying estate tax, that looks like EXT tax, but exit tax maybe. It sounded like there was a real plan involved, okay? And the fact that it's like he's plotting out, thinking what could actually be, what could potentially go wrong? How could I work this out? How can I get away with this? It is insanity.
Why you got Muslim on there, Nigeria? He ain't Muslim, and he wasn't going to Nigeria. Right.
Okay, now, Dr. G would later note in this video, he would examine these things further, and he would find specific mentions of a nearby airport and a possible mention, you won't believe this, of using medical as a way to get out of the prison. Listen to this.
Now, it would have worked if he would have told him medical. That's they go-to to get up out of there. Medical conditions, especially when they can pick that money. People to come to their, judge, I give you 100 mil. My medical, they get right up out of there. He had to play.
Right here we see it says jet-US prop. Now, what that means is that he's thinking about whether or not the jet that he would be traveling in is U.S. property. Epstein and his associates were obsessed with aircraft registration, jurisdiction, things like that, and that's what jet U.S. prop would be. He's thinking about whether or not the jet he's traveling in is in fact U.S. property, because that does change some things jurisdictionally, as well as whether or not there's seizure and all of these other potential issues that could come up. So the fact that he's thinking about that is important. What else is important is that jet U.S. prop was written in a different color. Most of these were written in blue ink. Jet U.S. prop was written in black ink. Now, the reason that matters is that means that this was enough of a plan that where he wrote it out and he came back to it. It wasn't just sketched out and thrown away. He came back with additional thoughts later on. Now, below...
That's smart, right? Came back with a different pen. Came back. He was actually planning this out. This wasn't just the random little break. This was serious.
Oh, that. You can see this little scribbled box with the word Brad on top. I'm going to scroll up so you can see it. Without my comments.
Keep it on the counter, I'm recording.
Square.
Keep it on the counter, I'm recording.
On the left, I interpret this as an airplane. At least I believe that's what it is. Or it could be additional buildings. But it very, very clearly has the word Brad written on top. And then below it and to the right of it, you see what I interpret as supposed to be where cars and planes are parked. I think this right here is a little airplane. So when I saw this, I immediately thought it looked like a private airport. Because this shape and design of the building is unusual. Airports are low and they're large. It's a very distinct look. So I was curious what the closest private airport is. The closest private airport to where he was is Teterboro. It also is one of the busiest.
Ironically, right, if you remember from the previous videos that I covered, Teterboro is where he landed from Paris and ended up getting arrested by the feds. So he's trying to get back to that airport that he came in on.
I was curious if he'd ever actually been there, so I typed it in the Epstein files, and it showed that it's been mentioned about 7,000 times. So this is definitely one he's familiar with. It does seem to resemble at least...
But why would they lock him up near the airport he always been using? That's the escape plan right there. Yo, we gonna lock you up. You want to do some time, and we'll as soon as you're ready to go, let us know. We got the airport out back. Forget the airplane. We got the airport out back for you, Epstein.
It's this style of airport. I'm not insisting it is this one, but it certainly looks quite a lot like it. So if nothing else, this lends credence to the idea that this building he's drawing is a private airport. He is thinking about getting to a private airport based on everything else he's saying and getting out of there. And the name Brad is associated with that. Who that is that a pilot? Is that somebody who would help him get there? That's unclear, but the name Brad is very, very clearly written on top of that airport. And you may be thinking, well, he's just fantasizing about escaping, and that may be part of it. I think the unusual aspect of that is that he would put a specific name with it, that he would write a name on top of the airport. Now, as far as I know, Brad does not stand for anything. It's not an acronym for anything. I take that in a very literal sense as a name. Now, as you can see right here, a portion is redacted. All we can see is that something was underlined. I would absolutely love to know what this said.
My name was under there. I ain't gonna make no accusations allegedly. Somebody's name is under that jaw. Somebody that's alive that's out here tweeting and all
because
that.
Something here is very important because it's underlined many times. But if we're to look to the right of that, it said medical/PT. Now, the way I interpret that, PT typically is shorthand for patient. It very clearly says medical. So the question would be, is that how he's thinking about being transported as a medical patient? Possibly. So if we're
As a medical patient, as a cadaver, could have gone a few different ways, right? Now, the most damning evidence would apparently come later on, okay, from a final set of scribbled notes that specifically lists
He left as a cadaver. I like that, chat.
blankets, the facility's camera system, and again it mentions medical. So once you start hearing this, you start thinking, okay, I feel like maybe we're starting to get to the gist of what might have gone down here. And bear in mind, he made a suspicious phone call the night before it all went offed himself.
I stand for something else, but once again, they are coded. He does not want this to be obvious what he's talking about. But the more significant part is directly below that. Jail out equals 10. Now that seems pretty clear. He's talking about getting out of jail. Now, what does the 10 stand for? Is he paying somebody $10 million? Is it 10 o'clock? What is 10? All we know is that he is saying jail out equals 10. And I think that's extremely consequential, particularly given the context of the other page we looked at. Now, below it, some of this is written very clearly, but it's unclear what he's referring to. So he says nothing at all, and then the last word, straw, show. I just can't read those middle letters enough to make that make sense. And then below that, no, it looks like it says no sign me, but it definitely says no something me. So this obviously pairs together with the jail out equals 10, but he just writes so strangely, it's impossible to give you full context, and I don't want to make any major assumptions about what this is saying. So now this is the last page, blankets, AVR, and Medi, and then it says watch, exclamation point. Now this is very interesting because he had an excessive amount of blankets in his prison cell. We know that. That's very well documented. That was acknowledged in the OIG report, actually. So the fact that he had excessive blankets is a fact. AVR, the cameras were not working. So we know for a fact the cameras did not work at that time. And the last one is Medi, which is how people that think he escaped would have done it, would have been through medical. And he says watch, exclamation point. So what is it that he's watching for? Something to do with the blankets, the AVR, or the Medi. But those are three of the big things that had to be taken care of if he was actually going to pull off something like this. So I think this page, despite the fact it's just a couple of words, could potentially be very consequential. All right,
So look, all right, they're saying those are the things that were mentioned that would have to be taken care of if this was going to work. Well, it just so happens those...
I don't know, man. It seems like these playing us for fools sometimes. This look like they could have had a little kid up in the office and told the little kid draw some things like this. I don't know at this point. He had the plan, the Medi. He sound like he black, talk about Medi, using nickname terms and all that stuff. He got a body there, dead or alive, he out. That's all I gotta say, dead or alive, he out.
Was one of the things that were taken care of, all right? And the mention of blankets is far from a minor detail too, because blankets were apparently used by the guards to make a fake body in order to transport Epstein's actual body out of there.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe, man.
Without media knowledge, okay? This was posted. It says Epstein's suicide, FD302. They literally built a fake body out of boxes and sheets or blankets to sneak his real corpse past the media. Insanity, right? I've already spoken about this before, but let's just do it again, all right?
I'm weird about it. Like, why are you going to put something out if I can't know the whole story? If I can't know the whole story, don't even put it out. You putting out half a story, a quarter of a story, a fraction of a story, fraction of a page, stuff missing, stuff blank. Man, people could think whatever they want at this point. Like, it's crazy.
Just do it again, because this is mental that this has been allowed to happen, right? Blank was with Epstein's body and had secured the scene. Blank remained with COs and Blank until personnel from the office of the chief medical examiner arrived to transport Epstein to their facility. Due to the large news and media presence outside the MCC, male OCME official called and said he would be arriving at the loading dock with a black vehicle. In order to thwart the media, Blank used boxes and sheets, aka blankets, to create what appeared to be a human body, which was put into the white OCME vehicle, which the press followed, allowing the black vehicle to depart unnoticed with Epstein's body. All right. After OCME departed with Epstein's body, Blank returned to MCC and wrote a memo containing the timeline of events and account of previous night's phone call. Okay. What on earth is going on here? Okay. What on earth is going on here? Insanity, okay? And another Reddit post would uncover the potential money trail aligned with the events that occurred in the jail, Okay, this is insanity, right? Look at this one. Okay, this is, I think I may have found wire transfers for Epstein's prison escape. As promised by Steve Bannon, follow the money. The account was closed in July 18th, 2019, approximately 1 month before the Epstein switch/escape happened. More on this later, but it fits the timeline of messages and the fake setup, hanging, and threat from Epstein prison mate that happened in June and July of 2019, putting Epstein solo in a special cell with limited guards that didn't check on him during the hours he was extracted and or switched. Okay, I have seen this before. This basically just outlines a whole bunch of bank transfers to St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands.
That's a crazy payoff. Look, you can either go to jail for life and kill you, or we make it look like you did. You would never show up again. He probably somewhere still doing the same fish he was doing. That probably was the deal. Like, you just can't show up to no parties. We don't want you at no cookouts, no bar mitzvahs, no corporate deals, no sporting events, none of that. We get you out of there. Deal, deal. Anybody gonna take it, but that's a crazy deal.
A review of the activity, basically a check deposit of $250,000. There was wire transfers of $2 and $3 million. A $650 transfer, $866,905.
I don't know what he was doing, whoever he was planning, whatever he was planning with whoever, somebody got paid.
$1.5 million and $2.5 million. Okay, $3,591. A whole lot of cash is changing hands, basically. Okay, a review of public media information identified Jeffrey Epstein as the 100% owner of one of the accounts.
What I tell you,
right? Whoopsie doodles. Okay, now this is a big breakdown that somebody has done as well. Okay, this is an interesting comment, and this digs into it deeply. Okay, it links.
I love the internet. People on the internet turn into Harvard professors when they want to find something out. It's easy when they want to find something out.
The official link that's in the Department of Justice files. It says, I think this may be a major development. Update with chronology of events in a major new financial update. On December 8th, 2018, Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon had a conversation discussing their potential upcoming court cases, where Bannon promised
they both was in jail.
This is to bring Jeffrey somewhere without extradition, plan in motion, or started before this date. On February 2019, Epstein pays U.S. Virgin Islands the $75,000 fee for South Country to operate as a domestic financial institution, aka a limited or small bank. Southern Country is a company he set up in the Virgin Islands, which links up to his escape plans and moving money around globally. Southern Country used to be domiciled in Florida as Financial Strategy Group Incorporated. More on Southern Country later and its bank information and reasons like deploy capital, but you can search for that term. On April the 12th, 17th...
Go to their bank, get the records. Go everywhere where everybody get the records. You need to keep digging.
And 27th, Epstein moved money around. On April the 26th, 2019, and throughout 2019, Jeffrey Epstein transferred money from Deutsche Bank and other banks around in higher frequency as normal than in other years, even in 09 and 014. Links on that later.
So if he was booked, how he moving money? Oh, what's going on?
May 13th, 2019, Epstein sells stocks and liquidates his TD Ameritrade and Schwab accounts and sends the stocks to Southern Country. Now, all of the money is where it needs to be, and all the people involved are paid, all of the countries involved are paid, and his residency and secret non-extradition location is set up. On June the 11th, 2019, the account from First Bank of Puerto Rico received wire deposits from Southern Country matching the money amounts to the shared liquidated in May.
Oh, he in Puerto Rico.
13th, 2019. I guess that meant shares. July 23rd, 2019, a staged offing by hanging happened, which brought Epstein to the special housing unit, which then allowed for the extraction to happen. We do not know if he was murdered after the extraction or if he's still alive. We still need more evidence. On August the 8th, 2019, Epstein signed his will. That's the same day the cameras were turned off, people. Jesus Christ. Right? Named Khan and Indik as executors and his brother as the beneficiary for around $500 million of clean money from legal investments to be outside the RICO, their legal theory, for his brother to be able to keep. On August the 9th, 2019...
Dang, he left his brother $500 million out this zone. I don't know what y'all talking about, but I faked my death. I ain't leaving nobody my money. He left it, but he faked his death the same day. Like, he signed that will the same day. It's like he knew today was the day I'm about to get up out of here, whether I kill myself or not. I'm about to escape, bro. You good? Let me make sure you good. I don't know, man. Who's speaking facts in this case? I don't know.
Oh, my God. The Department of Justice issues not one but two different press releases the day before Epstein died or was extracted from prison. That's mental. We've already spoken about that. August the 10th, 2019, Epstein was extracted, then murdered or extracted to a location that does not have an extradition agreement with the United States as coordinated and planned by Stephen Bannon. There are posts from the prison guard on Reddit already in his actual prison report that Epstein was taken out in a wheelchair and brought to a passenger.
But for me, that's too risky. Like, let him stay alive. He better off dead for everybody else sake. Let him stay alive than float to another country. What if somebody catch him one day on the camera? What if somebody leak his location? WikiLeaks or Satoshi from Bitcoin or somebody? I don't know where this boy at. I wouldn't. Man, I don't believe the government, the U.S. government, let that man get away alive.
Type van with a guy in a military outfit. Okay, we're jumping the shark now. This means some kind of Israeli military attaché officer in New York from Israel's consulate may have been involved. Why has it got to be Israel? I'm sorry, but like, okay, I don't really get down with all the anti-Semitism, but why has it got to be Israel? Why can't it be American? We don't have Russian military folks in dress banned in the USA right now, and Chinese too, so could be a country working on behalf of Israel or Russia. Could be American. Or Shadow Elite US military group were involved or something similar. I think Shadow Elite US military group. I feel like, look, there's a lot of bad stuff going on in the Middle East, but like, when you start blaming Israel for everything, I feel like then you just start saying, okay, I feel like this is becoming a vehicle for some other views people have.
I mean, everybody get blamed for everything. Don't black people get blamed for everything? Like, it's crazy out here. I ain't getting into that. I don't want them flagging my channel or shadow banning me, but yeah, everybody get the smoke, man.
Anyway, maybe that, who knows? If I see proof of that, we'll see. But it says, I do not think the US was involved in this. From how the money is moving around and the players involved, we need more information and unredacted financials. Those will prove everything. They're saying this is interesting and follow the money is usually the right instinct. What stands out to me is the financials isn't even one specific transaction, but the scale and professionalism of it all. The volume of this nonsense.
I gotta go to my comments, you dig? You check me, man. Let the video play. They try and get me, but yeah, this whole Epstein thing weird. Look at the bigger play. What else they doing in the world?
I do think those sketches are pretty crazy. The idea that it was like all these little plans and some of it lines up with what happened. The cameras being turned off. Honestly, I'm terrified at this point. I need to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments.
Yeah, man, we're gonna definitely read the comments on this video. He ain't posted up that long. Again, shout out to Chat Lord for the joint. He definitely living. This is probably my last video on Epstein laughing out loud, bro. We're gonna be talking about this one for a while. Yeah, we gotta keep light on this joint because he can still be snatching up kids. Only way you're breaking out of a max fab facility is to have help from people in very high places. Yeah, we don't hear stories about nobody breaking out the feds. Not even in the movies, they don't make it out the feds. The Illuminati or some real issue all along. Yeah, this is the Illuminati. So Epstein basically needed to fake his death to escape out. You want looking for him? I'm still sketchy on that, man. Am I speaking facts?
Got two more Epstein topics up.
Would you let somebody out that know all of that, that can do all of that to the U.S. government? But get in my comments. I need these comments. I need these likes. I need these subscribers. Make sure y'all follow me. I'm trying to get to 1,000 real fast. Big Head Reese, Chat Files. We out. Another episode of Just Speaking Facts here. Make sure y'all subscribe for me. You already know what the saying is. It's easy.